Hey, what is up guys? And today we're going to be talking about the current Mystic banner rotation as you see on your screen here, and which of the 4 ML 5-star units you should be going for. Now, before we get started, keep in mind the next rotation will feature Requiem Rwana or Moonlight Rwana, which is a new ML 5-star unit. So if you guys are waiting for a cool looking unit, then I think ML Rwana is your best bet because her animations look pretty sick, and to be honest, she looks pretty strong as well. But keep in mind that these units are old, so these units are tried and tested, so we know how they are in the current meta for sure, while ML Rwana is kind of like a question mark, right? Now with this current banner, guys, we actually have the 4-star Moonlight unit, Last Piece Karin, which is a new ML 4-star unit, and she is pretty fun to play with. She isn't that powerful though, in my opinion. I think she is pretty fun to play with, but for the most part, she's kind of a niche unit that is kind of, reliant on the fact that she can actually activate her Neo Phantom Sword, which is going to kind of rely on her killing an enemy, right? So I think this unit you definitely do not want to pull for on the pity because of the fact that, for the most part, Moonlight 4-stars are never worth the pity because it's just not worth it from a Mystic to, percent ratio if you look at the chances for the units to drop. So for the most part, you want to avoid that. But if you actually do get Last Piece Karin while pulling for one of the 4 ML 5-star units, good for you. She's a new unit and she looks pretty fun to play. Now, just to summarize very quickly at the start though, I'm going to tell you the order which I recommend the units out of these 4. I personally will recommend Dark Corvus first. Then it's going to be a tie between Top Model Luluca and Last Rider Krau, depending on whether if you like cleaving or if you like to kind of tank up and play a little bit slower. If you like to tank up, then Last Rider Krau will be better. If you like to cleave a little more or speed contest, Top Model Luluca will be the better option of the 2. And in last or third place, we have Blood Moon Haste, because Blood Moon Haste is mostly going to be used as a revive unit counter with his S2. And although he does pretty decent damage, guys, he kind of just sits there and does nothing until something gets revived and you put that barrier and immunity on your team. He used to be known as the Arbiter Vildred counter when Arbiter Vildred was super powerful, but right now we have so many good units that can counter revive units. So for the most part, you don't really need your Blood Moon Haste, if you have him, to actually be built on your bench, because there's already a lot of good options out there that are better than just revive counters that can also counter revives, if that makes sense. So the reason why I have Dark Corvus at number 1, guys, is because he is super powerful in Guild Wars. He's basically a free win because his S3 when soul burnt for only 10 souls will one-shot anything, and he is super tanky, and you can see that if you actually bring him into light units, which there are a ton of light units in the current meta, you're going to actually get skill cooldown reductions every time you're hit, either by 1 turn or 2 turns by critical hits. So for the most part, this unit will actually be super powerful. You just pair him with a healer, and you can pretty much just win every single Guild Wars out there. You just have to kind of just sit there for like 5 or more minutes, which is fine because currently in the current meta for Guild Wars, there's a lot of RNG, and Dark Corvus is pretty much a surefire win, which makes him very good. Now talking about Last Rider Krau very quickly, the reason why he's so good is because he's a very good answer to AoE damage teams. So his S3 is an AoE attack that gives immunity and will penetrate defense, and this will ramp up over the course of the battle. And the reason why he's so good into AoE teams is because of his S2. Basically, every time you get hit by an AoE attack, you'll give everyone on your team a barrier, and you'll also decrease skill cooldowns by 2 turns. If you get hit by a single target attack, you will reduce your skill cooldowns by 1 turn. So you can see that because his S3 ramps up, you kind of want him to actually refresh his cooldown very quickly because the cooldown is super long. So by bringing him into AoE teams, you can do a lot of AoE damage. His S3 hits super hard once you start stacking it to like 2 or more stacks. Now for Top Model Luluca, the reason why she's so good as a cleaver is because that she has an AoE CR readiness push to her team, also an attack buff for herself, and her S3 hits super hard that will, extinct the enemy, and also will give her stealth, which makes her super annoying to kill, and you'll see that her damage will scale with her speed, which makes her a very good opener. Just keep in mind that her base speed isn't the highest, so you can't speed contest with her, but if you pick her into, slower teams and you have her guaranteed to take the first turn, she's a very good option. And for Blood Moon Haste, guys, the reason why he's last is because, although he's good as a revive counter, keep in mind that, he doesn't really do anything out of that besides just sit there and do some damage. Obviously, you can have him do his S3, which will do a lot of damage, but keep in mind you kind of want to keep this up because this will decrease damage suffered by allies by 10% when this is available. So it's kind of like a weird game where he's only good in long fights against revive units, and in the current meta, there's just too many units that are good against revives. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this banner for the Mystic summons. There's 4 good units. Definitely Dark Corvus is the best of the 4. But keep in mind we do have Moonlight Rwana coming, so you might want to save your bookmarks or your medals for that instead, because Rwana will probably be pretty good in like RT and stuff like that. I don't think she'll be game-breakingly broken, but she looks pretty fun. Honestly, there's a good chance that Dark Corvus might be better than her, but looking at her animations, I will definitely save for Requiem Rwana. That being said, I hope this video helped you guys out, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.